What's up, Edge? I am so excited for this year's last words. We do this series every year, and seniors get to share their last words, whether it's encouragement, pieces of advice, or just funny things that they learned along the way. And so this week, we have Jocelyn, Leo, and Caroline sharing with us. Kicking off last words is Jocelyn Warnica. Jocelyn is amazing, such a core part of Edge. We love her so much, and she has some really wise words to share, and just a cool story on how God has moved in her life the past year and a half or so. So check this out.
Hey guys, I'm Jocelyn. My parents got divorced December of my sophomore year. I was angry at and disappointed in my parents for making this decision. And for a long time, I thought I was mad at my mom for wanting the divorce. Then last year, Trey was teaching a lesson on forgiveness, and he asked us to write a letter to a person that we felt needed our forgiveness, but during small groups, I couldn't think of anyone, and I didn't know why. With the help of Anne, I figured out that I wasn't really mad at my mom, but I was mad at God for splitting my parents up. I wasn't sure how to forgive God, but I knew it wasn't going to be easy. And I'm not going to lie, it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. By continuously coming to Edge and worshiping God, the anger and resentment that I was holding in eventually faded away, and I was able to see all of the good things that God has to offer and was able to trust Him again. I decided to give my life to Christ at Wild this year and got baptized this past November. This was the first time ever that I had felt true joy, and it was nothing like I'd ever felt before. The feeling was completely different and even better than when I won nationals 2 years ago. I was really happy then, but the feeling only lasted until the end of the week, whereas the joy I have felt has lasted until now and will most likely continue. Although my journey has been mainly an internal struggle, I couldn't have done it without my small group and the entire Edge community. The Edge community welcomed me with open arms when I came as a sophomore and grew to be my second family and my favorite part of the week. It's been a blessing to have this opportunity and to be a part of it. Don't get me wrong, there have been some times where I feel very far from God, but my journey is far from over. Thankfully, God has put someone by my side that can push me towards Him when I'm feeling down or lose sight of God, and I'm eternally thankful for that. As a freshman and sophomore, I wouldn't have taken this opportunity to share my story. I was super shy and wasn't really nice to anyone, but through God and His journey for me, I have the courage to share my story, be more open, outgoing, and let God's light shine through me. If you take anything from this, remember that forgiveness is always the best choice, and trust God even when it seems like everything is not going your way. He has a plan, and everything will turn out okay.
How God moved in Jocelyn's life, He can move in your life too. And I love her story of just a lot of us have bitterness or unforgiveness or something we're holding against God, and learning to let it go and surrendering to God and allowing God to show us how He's been with us the whole time, how He's been with us giving, and He wants to give you peace and wants to give you joy even when you're going through the toughest circumstances. And just like Jocelyn said, when she won nationals from gymnastics a couple years ago, she was so happy, but that happiness faded very quickly. But when she was talking and sharing about joy, is that this joy is here to stay, and that joy is found in God. And so my prayer and Jocelyn's prayer and hope for you guys is that you find joy and peace in God. Leo Williams is sharing next, and Leo is one that is a servant-hearted leader. He's always serving behind the scenes, whether that's in K-Kids or at Edge, and he has a depth of wisdom that is honestly surprising for someone his age. So, Leo, what you got for us, man?
Hello, my name is Leo Williams, and I am a graduating senior from Groves High School. And for my last words, I would like to say, to be yourself. My 8th grade year, I wasn't one of the popular kids. I wasn't one of the cool kids, and I was kind of really unhappy about that. And especially coming from Covington to Groves, where it's a whole new set of people, I saw it as like a new shot, like a new beginning, to try and be like that kid, you know. So going into Groves, I decided to try and be. I wasn't trying to be myself. I was trying to just be like a caricature, trying to be that cool kid, so I could fit in with the popular crowd. So I was doing some terrible things, saying some terrible things, started distancing from some of my old friends from Covington. But in a way, it worked because I was part of that popular group. I was invited to all the parties and able to do all the things that I felt like I missed out on. So, like, I appeared happy to a lot of people, like out front, but really I felt empty, and I was depressed because like I wanted that acceptance from people, but they weren't really accepting me. They were accepting the caricature that I built up. But like fake it till you make it. So I figured eventually like it's become me, and then I would be happy with it. So that went on for about 2 years until one summer, sitting out here on this very grass. I was talking with one of my older cousins, who's pretty much like the older brother that I never had. And we were just having a regular conversation. He was one of the few people that I still could be my actual self with. And he had just said, like, told me just like to stay you. Like, I don't remember the context, but it was just out the blue. He was just like, hey, just stay you, And that always stuck with me. After hearing that, I just decided just to forget the whole caricature, just to be myself. So then that next fall, going into junior year, I didn't care. I was just being myself, being goofy, being nerdy, just being me. And I made a lot of new friends. I kept a lot of the old friends I had too. A lot of them were also playing that caricature, playing that role. So a lot of us started being ourselves, and I felt a lot more happy ever since. Yeah, so I've been myself. In the past 2 years, I've been able to explore and enjoy my passions more, not have to be apologetic about watching anime or enjoying math or all that other stuff. And it's been happier, and it's been a much more joyful life for me to be able to enjoy myself. So I'd like to just say to all y'all underclassmen and all y'all left in high school, that the pressure to fit in is there, is real, and it might appear difficult at first to be yourself, but really it's easier, it's better for you, and you'll enjoy your high school career and your life much more if you're just yourself as opposed to trying to be someone that you're not.
Man, I love what Leo is sharing because it is something we all struggle with. We all want to fit in. We all want to be cool. We all want to be accepted. And we pursue that almost at the cost of anything. We pursue that at the cost of being ourselves. And so his word and advice to be yourself, be who God created you to be, you will find much more joy, much more fulfillment, and people will really start loving you for who you are and not for who you're presenting yourself as. And you'll be able to accept their love as well. So, Leo, thank you for sharing, and I pray and hope that all of us can follow that advice. Those of you who know Caroline Paddock know that she brings life and energy and fun everywhere she goes, and it was awesome to sit down with her, meet her dog, and to just hear about how she started going to Edge and the impact it made on her. Check this out.
Hello, my name is Caroline, and this is Cappy. This is my last words. When thinking about what I most wanted to share in my last words with all of you here, mentally, although not physically, I think the best thing to talk about is how I came to know all of you and why I chose to keep coming back to Edge. I grew up going to St. Hugo for 9 years, kindergarten through 8th grade. I'd like to preface that. I didn't repeat a grade of elementary school, where I went to Catholic Mass every Wednesday, and then I'd go to Kensington every Sunday. And although my education of the Bible and Jesus was grown extensively, my personal relationship with God was nurtured mostly by my mom in Kensington. And I knew about Edge, but I never went because, in all honesty, I was scared to go. So I didn't go. Amazingly enough, however, I wasn't scared to go on a mission trip to an entirely different country. So fast forward to spring break of junior year, and I'm in the Dominican Republic with people I'm just getting to know and having the greatest time of my life. And I could go on for hours about how this trip changed my life, but the biggest way was it brought me to Edge and made me consciously think about growing my relationship with God. So I get back and I am on fire for Jesus, and I feel really connected and firm, and I was like, this is great. A+ Christian, I'm winning. But after a while, especially with high school and social media, It was easy to fall back into old habits and push God to the background, and I was coming off of a high, and once again, I was scared to go to Edge. But I think I'd promised Esther, and she kept texting me, so one day I finally go, and I was so nervous, and I could tell you the outfit I wore, and I thought I was so cool, because I was like, it's a band t-shirt, and I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. And I went to the wrong door at first too, so that was awkward, and I had to knock, and someone had to let me in. It was bad. I don't think anyone noticed but me, but still. Anyway, so I made it into the building, and I go to Edge, and it was wonderful. It was so incredibly welcoming, and it was hard to believe that I had just met some of these people, and they genuinely cared about me. It's odd to think that being cared about is such a strange phenomenon, but in the world that teenagers live in, and I feel like mine especially, the norm is to jokingly tear others down and never let true emotion show and build this armor around yourself. And not the armor of God, but one blocking you from that. And so being at Edge and hearing words like, I appreciate you, and people asking, how are you, and genuinely wanting to know the answer was such a positive influence in my life. And feeling so cared for and supported made me excited to get to Edge every Sunday, and that led me to being a host and band member and being a leader in Breakaway. I never thought that my first real all-nighter would be at Dave & Buster's with a bunch of middle schoolers, but it was, and it was awesome, and no high school party or silly drama would top it. And it was really important to have that every Sunday, because during the week, I would get annoyed and tired, and I would be so mean to everyone. But Edge was such a place where I could refresh and remind myself that when I find myself in those places, it isn't mindless social media and TV that makes me whole again, but for me at least, quiet time with God and devotionals and journals, and I'm still working on making that into my solution every time. When we were able to go to Edge, what I started to do more recently was write down what was most helpful for me in the message, and I would put it on my mirror. And amazingly enough, one of our last services gave the advice, mind your mind, and when there are thoughts that you shouldn't say to others, submit those thoughts to Jesus, and those have been two really impactful things for me during this quarantine. So I guess if there's one thing I want you all to take away from this, it would be to A, just keep going to Edge, and B, act as though the people that love you most are always surrounding you. Speak your truth kindly when you feel the need to, and do not be afraid of not being cool enough or popular enough or whatever enough if it means being someone you aren't. Because there is an entire group, an entire church, and an entire world that loves and cares for you the exact way you are. Not to mention, God loves you just as you are. And I need to take my own advice on this as well. We are all working to be the best we can be, but what is so special is that we never have to do it alone. The title, Last Words, sounds way too final and permanent for me, so I'm thinking of it as last words, but not really. I'm so grateful for all of you, and I wish I could give you guys a big hug right now. To the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, high school can be tough, really tough, but I know you will all do spectacular things, and you have a huge cheering section behind you. To my fellow seniors, all 7 of them, you guys are the greatest, and I wish you all the love in the world and the best of luck. Edge has truly had an amazing impact on me, and my dog's walking away, so love you guys, gonna go get her. Peace out, see you later. I need to go get Gabby.
So many of us are like Caroline, and we can let our spiritual lives slip to the back burner. And what she found to be the antidote of that is getting plugged into community. And obviously right now, that's really hard to do. We can't be with each other in person very easily, but we need to keep pursuing community, whether that's online or in person, following whatever guidelines there are. But we need community because together we help each other see God and pursue God. We push each other to follow Christ. And just like Caroline said, how we accept others into this family of God can make a big impact on whether they feel loved and accepted. And it can make a difference on whether they stick with the community and find a deeper faith and walk with God, or they walk away and feel rejected. And so take that challenge that Caroline put up. Stay connected into community and welcome people into the group.
She's good.